Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's been a minute since I've been here. I've been on a little bit of a hiatus. If you didn't know, I did a 10-day trip into Banff and Jasper and Lake Louise and all that kind of stuff. So this video is going to be all about how much did I spend. So it was a little bit pricey. It's weird because it was both pricey but not. So it's just an expensive trip at the end of the day if you decide to do it. We did it fairly cheaply. There were some splurges in between. Anyways, I'll go through all of it so you can essentially see what I'm talking about. So I'll be going over expenditures, how much we paid, and what we did every day. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 where you can see how much we spent, but then you can also see what we did as well in the case that you want to do a similar trip. I know it's really popular to take about 7 to 10 days and kind of do Banff, Lake Louise, and go up into Jasper, which is essentially what we did. So if you're new here, then hello or welcome back if you've been here before, and we are going to break down all of my expenses. Please don't judge me. There's things I could have done differently. There's things that I could have done for cheaper as well, but you live and you learn. So let's start off with pretty much I'm going to go day by day, exactly what we did each day and then what we spent as well. A lot of this stuff I did pay for a lot earlier, so thankfully it wasn't everything at once. We started planning this in about March, April or so. So I'll be going over what it was. I did use a little bit of points as well, which helps to decrease the cost. Not as much as I usually use though. So yep, that's essentially my intro spiel. So I hope you enjoy. It'll probably be a bit of a longer video, and please let me know your thoughts and comments below. So starting off with the flight. So how much did we pay? So this was super cheap. The flight itself was $256.25 round trip, which is a phenomenal deal. We jumped on it hard and fast. I actually had a credit from Air Canada. I was later able to convert that credit into money back on my visa. So this technically came out of my pocket back in December. So there was no immediate hit when I made this purchase. It was back in about April. But that was the cost of the flight. So direct Toronto to Calgary, which is about a 4-hour flight. So that was the cost of it. So pretty cheap, $256 and change. So that was the cost of the flight. And then on day one, which was July 22nd, on day one, my partner, he picked me up in a Uber. So the cost of the Uber was $48. So let's see, Uber to airport, it was about $48.98. Okay. We got there. We went to the lounge. We had a free access via our credit cards. We do credit card churning, so that was great. Flight went really well. We also checked in one bag, again, free via credit cards. So those are two great savings that we had. Flight was fine. Got out of the flight, and then we went to pick up our rental car. Now, this is a trick. So anytime that you are picking up a rental car, you can usually pick it up directly from the airport. That's not what we did. If you ever look into the details of the cost, it's actually more expensive to pick it up from the airport. There's a direct airport fee, which could be, I think in this case, it was about $100 more, $100 to $200 more. So what we did is we picked another location where the times aren't as good. So you do need to be aware of that. Their opening hours are a lot shorter. But it did save us quite a bit of money, even taking into consideration the Ubers we had to take to and from. So we did an Uber to the airport. Once we got there, we did an Uber to pick up the car, which was $28.26. Okay, and there's a huge car rental shortage right now. So I don't know if you know this, but it is really hard to find car rentals anywhere. But even right now in kind of Calgary and that Jasper, Banff area, super hard. So we were really lucky that we got a car. We had to wait for it. It was a tiny little Chevy Spark, but we're just happy to get something because there are people walking in saying, hey, do you have a car? And they're like, absolutely not. We do not have one whatsoever. So that was the first one. And oh my goodness, my Amex login keeps logging me out, which is where I paid for all of my expenditures. I got the Cobalt right before our trip, so I was able to put everything on there, which was great. So after we picked up the car, everything was good. We actually ended up going out to eat. So we went to this fancy restaurant that was well rated. I quite liked it. My partner was mad about it, and it's called 10 Foot Henry. And the total cost of that one was exactly $100.36. So quite pricey for the cost of it, but it was pretty good. I'm happy with it. We only ate out 3 times in the entire trip. Everything else we cooked ourselves. So this was one of our splurges that we had. So from there, we picked up the car. We also, what else did we do? Oh yes, we then paid for gas, which ended up being $34.20. It was on like half tank when we picked it up. We paid for parking while we were at the restaurant, which was $3. And then we went to a grocery store. So we did a lot of stuff that one day when we picked up the car. So we went to a grocery store and we spent $2.18 and 55, so quite a bit. And then we also went to a wine and spirits store. So we got our alcohol, and this was pretty much enough for the entire 10 days. It was quite a bit, but it was $145 and 15. And then from there, let's see, what else did we do? Oh, I didn't even add in the car rental. So the car rental, still pretty expensive, but this was by far the cheapest. I looked hard, I looked constantly all the time to see if I could get it for any cheaper. But for the 10 days, the total was, where is it? $569 and 56. So that was for the car rental. So obviously everything's going to be split in half towards the end. So we got a lot of expenditures happening over here. So this was, let's see, and the last things, and then the last things we got was coffee on the last day. So the coffee itself was, how much was it? It was $11.78. So first day, huge expenditures. What a start. This doesn't even include the Airbnb, which, so for the first night, we actually ended up staying in Canmore. So Canmore is a bigger town right outside of Banff. We went into Banff itself, the town, super touristy, like incredibly touristy. So I'm really happy that we stayed in Canmore, a little bit bigger, a few more things to do as well. You can pick and choose your options. I think it's a bit cheaper. But it was actually a hotel. So the hotel in Canmore was $808 and 85 cents. And then we also had to pay taxes once we got there. So it was $82 and 8 cents. So this was all in day one. So right off the bat, we went hard and fast, but I promise you it's going to decrease after this. So that was all of day one. Now I think what's important to note as well is that all of the hotels and Airbnbs that we're staying in, there's 3 altogether. We made sure to pick ones that had a full kitchen. Obviously, as you see, we barely eat out. We spent quite a bit on grocery and alcohol. This was essentially most of the eating out that we did that one day. So we needed a place that had more than enough room for us to fully cook all of our meals. Because we booked this right when COVID was like hard and strong, when there were like no travel whatsoever. We kind of crossed our fingers and toes and said, I think by July it should be okay. And then made all the bookings. So obviously cooking at home decreased expenses quite a bit, but we went in knowing that that is exactly what we wanted to do. So that was day one. Clearly this is going to take quite a few more pages. So day one, we did that. Day two, no expenditures actually whatsoever. If you're interested to know what we did, we went to Lake Moraine and we did a hike there as well. We woke up at like 4 a.m. to get there as early as possible because parking is small, and we spent pretty much the entire day there. It was definitely a little bit of a longer drive, about an hour, but beautiful views, highly recommend it. So we did a nice hike there, which was obviously no cost, which is great. Perfect, so that was day one. The second day, or the third day, so 1, 2, now we're on day 3. We did something called a Via Ferrata, which we pre-booked and prepaid. If you don't know what Via Ferrata is, it's kind of like a mix between rock wall climbing and hiking. So you're not quite going up a wall completely. You are going up a mountain, but you are strapped in with these kind of carabiners and harnesses as well. So it's kind of in the middle. It was quite expensive, but it was truly phenomenal. Like I really, really loved all of it. I think it was absolutely great. So the Via Ferrata was for the two of us $609. When I go through all of this, I will obviously divide it by 2 to show you how much I paid for my half as well. But just so you have a buffer, it was $609, so it was just over $300 for each of us. So very, very expensive, phenomenal though. And we did it on Mount Norquay, which was right in Banff as well. And the session actually lasted about, I think it was like 4 hours all the way. You had great views. It was really fun. Highly recommend it. And then when we finished, we actually ended up just grabbing a drink. So we had a drink to kind of finish off, and we chatted with the other 2 people who were in the group as well. And we chatted with the actual host, climber, what would you call it, the guide. So that was $16. Perfect. So then that was our next day. That was day 3. Day 4 was when we checked out. So we checked out of Canmore, and then we started the drive over to Jasper. So that is quite a long drive. It's about 4 hours. So what we did at first is we went to Grassy Lakes, which was probably one of my favorites. I think Lake Moraine was absolutely beautiful, but there are so many other small little lakes that are equally as beautiful, right? So like nice, pristine, cold glacial water lakes with beautiful mountains and pines behind them. So it's not just the Lake Moraine one, but I really, really loved Grassy Lakes. So we did a small hike there in Grassy Lakes. And then when we checked in our luggage, what we actually checked in was a paddleboard, a blow-up paddleboard. So while we were driving up, we stopped off into a really small lake called Lake Herbert, which wasn't as cold as the other ones. And we went paddleboarding there for a few hours, which was really, really nice. So let's see, what else did we do? I ended up buying some gifts for my mom and my sister. So the gifts ended up costing me $17.83 for gifts. Obviously, you don't need to do this. Let's see, what else happened? So when we got to Canmore, I'm working off of like 3 different papers and online stuff. That's why my numbers are kind of everywhere and it's taking me a second. So from there, we went to Jasper, and then Jasper actually cost us $974.46, and that was for 3 nights. Perfect. And then let's see, what else do we have? We also did a little bit more food shopping. So for groceries, we spent another $67.73. Okay, we bought more gas at $30. Okay. And then that's about it. That's all we did on that day. So it's mainly just kind of driving up, kind of the little hike and such in the beginning, but that's about it. So fairly simple day. The next day we went to Malign Canyon, so like another little hike. Took about an hour drive to get there as well. So it's called Malign Canyon. Beautiful views, really, really enjoyed it. Oh, I'm being locked out again. It only gives it to you for like 5 minutes. I've been locked out so many times. Okay, there we are. So that was Malign Canyon, and let's see, what do we do? We had... No, nothing. I didn't spend anything there. I'm trying to see if there's anything I spent. No, I did not spend anything there, so that was great. So very low cost. The day after Malign Canyon, we actually went to Malign Lake. Absolutely beautiful. And we did a hike while we were there. So we did Malign Lake. That's the one, which we didn't do this excursion. That's the one with Spirit Lake. And I was flabbergasted when I saw the price. You can take a boat for Spirit Lake. And I thought maybe like $40, yeah, I'll think about doing it. It was over $80 per person. I was like, absolutely not. I'm not doing that whatsoever. So I did Malign Lake, Spirit Lake, and then we did a hike called Bald Hills. I think it was about 14K hike that it was all together. So we're quite tired at the end of it. So we ended up having a drink. Pretty expensive. It was $26.57 for just a drink. And then they also had taco night as well, kind of by our hotel. So eating out tacos, was $9.66. Okay, perfect. Then from there, the next day we woke up. We ended up going kind of out for like a coffee and we had a smoothie. So this was what day are we at? All the days are starting to come together at one. So we went out for coffee in Jasper. So it was kind of like coffee brunch, which I actually quite recommend. I liked it. It was called the Sun House. And that was $20.77. We ended up getting gas, pretty expensive, $35. In case you couldn't tell, there's quite a bit of driving. And then in terms of that day, what else did we do that day? I think that was it. I'm trying to get all my days in a row. So that was, oh, okay, perfect. That was the day that we're actually leaving Jasper. So we're leaving Jasper and now we're driving to Golden, which is technically in British Columbia. So it's kind of going back down south, but instead of going south here, you're kind of going a little bit more in this direction itself. So we ended up doing the drive. Let's see. Oh, let's get all of my ducks in a row. Oh my goodness, what did we do? Yep, okay, so we did the drive. I'm just looking at all my statements being like, why does it say that I bought $90 of gas, but it's not? It's $75 of gas within 2 days. So what day is which? Perfect, now I have it figured out. So we got the gas, we did that. We went for a walk in Jasper. So what we did is during our drive, we did a number of little small stop-offs here and there. So we ended up going to the Fairmont in Jasper. There's this really nice small walk you can do. Absolutely beautiful, highly recommend it. We did the Athabasca Falls. Also beautiful. There is a glacier walk that you can do. Again, you can pay for it. We did a small hike. I had people say that the glacier kind of hike thing that you pay for is well worth it, but it was over $100. And then when we were doing research in it, it looked like they had some deaths happen the year before and it was not environmentally friendly. So I'm glad we didn't end up doing it. So we did quite a number of like little small hikes and walks on our drive over to Golden. So that is what we did. And then the next day we ended up going to, let's see. We ended up buying gas. There was lots of gas, which was $40. We ended up getting some more groceries, which was $50.23. We drove to Lake Louise, but it was so busy that we couldn't actually park there, and then they were giving us different options. Not worth it at all for us because we were kind of tired. So what we ended up doing is instead of going to Lake Louise, we went to Emerald Lake, which I highly recommend. Absolutely beautiful. In case I haven't mentioned it before, because of the wildfires, it was super, super smoky. So it was pretty hard to see a lot of the views, especially when we were more south, so when we were closer to Banff, and especially now in Golden, BC. The views weren't that great, which was a really big pity. So Emerald Lake, it was kind of like foggy and murky, but actually was kind of nice in a weird way. Obviously, I know that forest fires aren't good. I realize that, but Emerald Lake was quite nice. I really enjoyed it. And then what else did we do that day? We went back and we just bought some goods back at the grocery store. We ran out of bug spray, so we definitely need to buy some more. And just a little bit of salami as well. So that was $16.73. In case I didn't mention it, for breakfast every day we did eggs, hummus, and bagels. Lunch we always made sandwiches. Then we had some apples and protein bars. And then for dinner, usually like chicken and rice or salmon and rice and some salad as well. So something along those lines. And then the very last thing, oh my goodness, there isn't last things. I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row. We had to pay for, or I paid for breakfast that morning, and this is the only thing I didn't pay on my card. I did it with cash and debit, but breakfast slash brunch was about $41.50. Okay. And then in terms of our stay in Golden itself, this one was the only one that was at an Airbnb. So this one I paid kind of in 2 different installments for the Airbnb. So it was $521.30 and then $521.29. So quite a bit of money. Then after that, we were so tired from hiking that we did nothing for the next 2 days. So on day 9 and day 10, we literally just did straight chilling. So we didn't buy anything, we didn't really go anywhere, or spend money, nothing like that. We just chilled at the Airbnb. We took a vacation from our vacation because we were absolutely exhausted. So the very last things then is that we ended up driving, the morning of our flight, we ended up driving back to the car rental shop. And then I paid for an Uber again. It was about $29 to the Uber from the car rental place to the airport. We're there quite early, so we went to the lounge. Again, we checked in a bag, didn't have to pay for it thanks to my credit card. The lounge, again, didn't have to pay for it because of my credit card. Was able to get some dinner, which was pretty good, and a few drinks as well. Flight ended up being great. We ended up getting an Uber, and we originally checked Uber and the price was like $120, which is crazy. And then we checked Lyft and the price was about $50, which is way, way better. This is on our way back home. So I've already added up all of the prices all together, but as you can see, it adds up really quickly, even with quite a bit of groceries, a few days of chilling inside. Obviously, we didn't need to do everything this one way. So for example, the Via Ferrata added a pretty penny to everything. But I was able to use, in terms of points, for the Airbnb of about $521, I was able to use $285 worth of points. And then just because of my Amex and the promotions I get and such, I have about $86 in points as well. So I was able to do about $371 savings with points, which is great. And then once we take everything into consideration, and then you look at my half versus my partner's half, this, that, you know, kind of all of the expenditures here, there, and everywhere, the combined total that we had to pay was about $2,500 for 10 days. So it's a pretty big number. You know, it's kind of painful to look at it. I don't know why. The last few days I was kind of really stressing about it, even though I had more than enough money for it. Obviously, I didn't pay for it all at once as well. I did pay for it kind of in different installments. So with the flight, that was pretty cheap. And then I paid, with the Airbnbs, my boyfriend booked most of them. So I paid him $500. And then I paid some of the Airbnbs as well. I was able to use some points to get some savings. Like, there's so many things that I did to decrease the cost and decrease the hit of it as well, but it's never fun to spend money. Nonetheless, I had a great time. I really, really enjoyed it. I would definitely do something similar if I went back again. Hopefully the smoke, you know, doesn't come back again. Hopefully it was a one-time thing. Pretty much the one big thing that we didn't do was Lake Louise. We didn't actually end up going there, which I'm okay with. Because we just saw so many beautiful lakes and so many visualizations of stuff that we didn't need to see it another time. So I was more than happy with that. Anyways, if you're still here, I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. Was that too much money? What could we have done better? Etc., etc. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.